Morning, all. All right, so with word that the NHL is looking to throw together a World Cup, a modified version of said World Cup, and of course the Olympics in 2026 are still being negotiated, and I think the NHL goes in 2026. I do. I honestly do. So I think it's a good time to revisit a topic I've discussed before: goaltending. What the goaltending might look like in 2025 or 2026 for all the countries, including Canada. So what I did here was I ranked it by save percentage from this past season. So Sweden ends up at the top of the board, right? Olmark, 938 save percentage. Gustafsson, 931 save percentage. And then you go down to Anton Forsberg at 892 or at 902. And then at 892 is Markstrom. I've got his name in red because to me, I think he has a good chance of being named to the Swedish team when we get there. So if it's Olmark, Gustafsson, and Markstrom, that's not bad. And in terms of young up-and-coming goaltenders, Wallstedt is one of the top prospects, so Wallstedt might find himself in the conversation by 2026. Again, you can never tell with countries what they're going to pick. They may not pick by National Hockey League standards, depending on how it's all run. And so once we get to the 2026 Olympics, I think all bets are off. Then you have Russia. There is a lot here for goaltenders. You've got Sorokin, you've got Samsonov, you've got Georgiev, you've got Shesterkin. I think it's Sorokin and Shesterkin would be locks for this team, right? Vasilevsky, Varlamov, Kochetkov, Bobrovsky, Prosvetov, and then over here you've got Askarov as well. So, and I have Prosvetov in red because, again, young goaltender, his save percentage wouldn't qualify for me to put him in black, but still. There are a lot of goaltenders here for them to choose from. Now, again, whether or not there would be a Russian team in 25 or 26, we don't know yet, but I figured it would be an injustice not to have them on the board because there's a lot there. You could put together three good goaltending tandems when you've got Sorokin, Shesterkin, Vasilevsky. I think those three have to be the locks for the Olympic team because you named three goaltenders for the Olympic team, and honestly, how do you beat those three as a trio? Well, the U.S. are going to try. So you have Ottinger, you have Hellebuck, you have Swayman. All of them had 920 save percentages this past season. And the U.S. has done a good job of developing goaltenders for a while now, dating back to guys like Richter and I believe Van Beesbrook, American as well. Stalock, DeSmith, Copley, Demko. Demko, definitely, I would think, a dark horse to get named Team USA. Spencer Knight, and then I have Gibson here with an 899 save percentage. Doesn't qualify to be in black on the board, but John Gibson may very well end up being named as well. So again, for Sweden, my guess would be Olmark, Gustafsson, and Markstrom would be the trio. For a Russian team, Sorokin, Shesterkin, Vasilevsky. For an American team, got to be Ottinger, got to be Hellebuck. And I think Knight might be the guy if you look at the rest of these, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's Gibson either, right? And then you get over to Finland. Saros, it's his net. Korpisalo, likely the backup. Ranta's right here as well, though. That's probably your trio. Although to me, Luukkonen, if he has a good year for Buffalo, 892 save percentage, could be the guy. Now, if you're looking at the U.S. perspective, they've also got some good young goaltenders coming up. Wolf, American-born. Augustine and Comesso as well, considered to be amongst the best young goaltenders who have yet to debut in the NHL. And so the Americans are set for a while. Whereas for Finland, nobody in that upcoming, but is Canada going to be seeing some kind of, savior in the net coming up? Because when you look at save percentage from this past year, you've got Hill, Wedgwood, and Thompson all had 915 save percentages. Logan Thompson could be a goaltender for Canada when we get to international play, as could Stuart Skinner at a 914. You've got Jari with a 910. Darcy Kemper at 909. Marc-Andre Fleury, I think, probably retires before 2026, but we'll see. He had 908. Ingram. Carter Hart, I think, has an outside shot as well. Matt Murray, Sam Montembeault, and I've got Binnington on the board with an 894 save percentage. I don't know that Binnington necessarily would get in there, but this is where it gets difficult. So pretty easy to pick the three here. Pretty good speculation, I would think, on the three across these three countries. And then in Canada, who are your three? Does Aiden Hill get some kind of, consideration because of the run to the Stanley Cup? Maybe. Darcy Kemper's represented Canada before. I believe Jari played at the World Juniors before. So there's some options here, but you don't have that big star goaltender really for Canada. So Canada would likely be relying on their forwards to get the goals, their defense to keep things away from to keep the puck away from their net. Because the goaltending, honestly, for Canada would definitely be, I think, weaker than the other countries. And I've talked about this before. Canada not taking the kind of resources it would seem to develop their goaltenders that they need to, that other countries are. So up and coming, and this is where things have to change for Canada. Devon Levi. So Levi is coming up and looks like he's going to be excellent for Buffalo. If he can be excellent for them, he's going to end up in the conversation as the goaltender for Team Canada. You've also got Casa is coming up. He's Canadian as well, considered to be a solid young goaltender. And so it is kind of sketchy after that. So the trio for 2026 that I'd pick for Vancouver, we're not going to the Olympics in Canada in Vancouver in 2026. That was 2010. 2010 Fleury, right? But and looking back too, and the reason I'm wearing Patrick Waugh is because Patrick Waugh, Ken Dryden, Marty Brodeur, some of the best international goaltenders have been Canadian, and we'll see whether or not that stays true in 2025 or 2026 or both. So if I was picking three from Canada, I think Logan Thompson has to be in that conversation. I think Jari has to be in that conversation. Carter Hart. So yeah, Devon Levi taking over the world over the next couple of years would definitely help, because then he would end up in that trio as well. And Darcy Kemper, his numbers, I think, belie the fact that he had a pretty good year. I think Kemper would be in that conversation as well once 2026 rolls around. But that is a question mark for Canada. Now, for the Czechia team, a team that's going to be, fighting as an underdog, they do have Vanacek, who had a decent year, 911 save percentage. Vejmelka's there as well. Now, Rittich had a better save percentage, and so did Dostal. But I think Vejmelka would be ahead of Rittich in terms of the pecking order, putting together a Czechia team. So to be Vanacek, I think Vejmelka, I think Dostal gets in there as well. Although Vladar with his 895 save percentage, I could see Vladar ending up on that roster as well. Slovakia has Halak, so Halak's still playing. Germany has Grubauer, so again, Grubauer would be the starter there. And then for Denmark, Anderson and Sogard, the two with NHL experience. Czechia has Hrabal coming up, so maybe Hrabal ends up getting into one of those top three spots. But it is clear that Canada is the one out of the powers that be around the world when it comes to hockey. They're the one that has some issues when it comes to net. So great offense, great defense, but the goaltending, it may be a challenge for them once we reach those tournaments in 2025 or 2026. And again, Canada's doing its best now to make sure that they close the gap with other countries when it comes to training and developing goaltenders. But it's going to take a while before that shows up at the National Hockey League level. Hockey Canada can put as much money as it wants into developing goaltenders, but they're not going to be in the NHL for 10 years? So odds are, if Devon Levi turns out to be the star goaltender that many think he's going to be, he could be the starter for Canada for a while, right? So it's an interesting topic, I thought, to start the day. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And tell me who you think the tandems would be for a World Cup and who the tandems would be for an Olympic Games. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.